There we go. They should be live right now across everything. I'm just not sure. Oh, wait. TikTok. Almost forget about TikTok. Can't forget about TikTok. Okay. I appear to be live across everything now. I got started way later than what I really meant to. Had some issues with the audio, but we're all good now. Turns out it was literally just a simple bug. I needed to flip a switch, basically, is what happened. So, but it is working now. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I hope everyone can hear me. Be awkward if nobody could hear me. At any rate, okay, so get back to the screen I need to be on real fast. Yeah. So, my name is Blake, and this is Live with Ebbs, a show about electric bike scooters and skateboards. My business is Ride with Ebbs. Don't get the two confused, although it's understandable. The show is based on the business, which is based on the industry of electric bikes and scooters and skateboards. So, basically, I react to and comment on, put my 2 cents on, and hopefully educate and, inform people about news regarding electric bike scooters and skateboards, because that's what my business is about. And if you want to check out more about my business, I've got my website right now. If you see an ad on this video, if you see an ad on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or anything, know that I'm not getting paid from that. I don't have any sponsors. I don't have any brand deals. I am essentially a startup brand, but I don't have anything like that at all. I make money off of you as the viewer buying something from my store, which is ridewithebs.com, ridewithebss.com. Right now I've got an electric air pump that doubles as a battery bank and triples as a light, as well as a hydration backpack, both available for pre-order right now on my website. I do have orders coming in right now for merch, for apparel, specifically a beanie, sweatshirt that I will not be able to wear, and a jacket that I will not be able to wear. I ordered size too small by complete and total accident. Actually, I ordered a small by a complete and total accident, and they're like, well, we can't do anything. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll just give it to one of my partners, one of my business partners, for them to sell, or just, I don't know, whatever. At any rate, so those two things are available for pre-order right now on my website. And on top of that, I've got some cheaper stuff coming in. I'm definitely going to be testing out the beanie myself. And then, of course, the small sweatshirt and small jacket. That's going to be print on demand. So it's not pre-orders as long as I like the material that's made out of, and as long as the person that I'm the business partner that I am letting use it to promote the business, as long as they can use it on a daily basis, as long as they're comfortable with it and everything like that, then I'll go ahead and list that on the website too. That's not pre-order, that is print on demand. So without further ado, I am going to see if I can go ahead and share my screen, hopefully without too much trouble. It's not do it. Give me just a moment. I'm dealing with very rudimentary software, or rather hardware, not software, but hardware here. There we go. And then I come over here. Okay. TikTok, you'll have to bear with me. I can't share my screen on TikTok because I'm on my desktop right now. If you want to check out the screen shared version, go to either twitch.tv/ridewithebss or youtube.com/ look up Ride with Ebbs on YouTube, or even Facebook. I'm live on there right now. Of course, I will also be sharing clips of this live stream on TikTok throughout the week, like I have been doing, at any rate. Okay, so article that caught my attention is don't count on GPS trackers to save your e-bike. Very sad title, in my opinion. Hopefully this isn't as clickbaity as what I think it's going to be, but we'll have to see. Over the years, we've gotten quite a few e-bikes to review. I don't do every kind of riding, and I don't have time to do long-term tests on every bike. So I often recruit friends and family to join in. They get a bike and I get better info than I'd get if I tried to ride 10 bikes with one butt. I could understand that. I could see how that would how that wouldn't really it wouldn't be a very efficient way of testing out a bike, especially if you're wanting to do long-term longevity type of review. One really cool bike I did this with was a Urtopia Carbon 1. If I did more city riding, I'd have kept that one in my shed. But my brother is working on a second degree on a very college campus. My brother is working on a second degree on a very large college campus. Okay. Efficiency, the efficiency, the non-obvious electric power, the lightweight, and many other features served him very well over the last 11 months. But there was one thing he hadn't tested: the anti-theft features. The bike has some really cool features, including an alarm that goes off if the bike moves while locked, and some GPS tracking features. Combined with a good bike lock, it's a lot more high-tech and advanced than Pee-wee's preferred solution. What is Pee-wee's preferred solution? I'm just curious.
Teamwork lights you up. With a sign.
Never mind. But where some people are willing to help with this testing, but there were some people willing to help with this testing. Despite using a very nice bike lock and parking the bike in a high traffic location on campus, my brother had his very own reenactment of a scene from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Which one are we talking about here? Let's go ahead and see. Okay, I get it. Basically, somebody stole the bike. Got it. Why my brother didn't pass out, call a crazy neighborhood meeting, or accuse the Soviet Union of stealing the bike. Dear God, is that what that skit is?
Valuable time. Set up a dragnet. Comb the whole area.
Oh dear God. Okay. Wow. He did manage to figure out who stole it, and it wasn't Francis. Okay. When the bike battery started getting low, the people who took it apparently been dumb enough to connect the bike to a Wi-Fi network. Why would you connect? Why? Oh, dear God. This allowed the bike to send its GPS coordinates, allowing my brother to pinpoint the bike's location. Good. You'd think that with that information, the police would be able to do something about it. After all, he had evidence that the bike has a particular location. So the police should be able to use that probable cause to search, or at the very least submit that probable cause to a judge to get a warrant, right? But that wasn't the case. The local police said they couldn't do anything but knock on the door. When the people inside refused to answer the door, they said there was nothing they could do. They said the GPS information from the stolen bike simply wasn't enough, nor would location information from other tracking systems like tile trackers or Apple AirTags. Criminals are apparently aware that GPS trackers are insufficient probable cause, at least by our local department's standards. What the hell city is this in? So they can just get away with it if they don't find the hidden GPS theft. If they don't find the hidden GPS trackers in things they steal. Looking into it further, my brother's experience is common. In many places, the police will not only refuse to search, but won't bother with attempting to get a warrant. To the answer of why, answered, I ended up finding a video. Oh boy.
Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
This is a story sent to me by almost everybody. Everybody. If you didn't send it, shame on you. A lot of versions of this out there. This one from the Auto Wire by Stephen Symes. Stolen motorcycle provides an important lesson on the Fourth Amendment. This is a real simple story. Guy says his motorcycle got stolen. He says he knows where it is. He tells the police that. They go and look and they go, we can't see it. We don't know what's in there. Nothing we can do to help you. And so the question is, at what point would the police step up their actions beyond we can't help you?
Yep.
So having your motorcycle stolen is frustrating. So we feel for the man in Chicago whose Honda motorcycle was stolen in the middle of July. Now, he has an Apple AirTag on the bike, so he thinks he knows exactly where it is. But police say they can't get it back. Since this was profiled by NBC Chicago, the man's story has been getting increasing attention among automotive enthusiasts, news sites, forums, as people can't believe police won't help with its recovery. Trust me, this thing's lighting up Reddit like a Christmas tree. The story provides a great lesson in how the Fourth Amendment keeps police from just raiding your property because someone else says you've got their stuff hidden there. Now, in this case, the man's AirTag pegs the location of the motorcycle right where a box truck is parked in an alleyway by a house. So it might be in the truck and it might be in the house, but it could also be in the garage. The AirTag apparently is not so specific as to say exactly within 6 inches where it is, but it's in this little zone right here. A police officer arrived, and the man says the cop stayed a few minutes, looked around, said, not a whole lot I can do for you here, sorry. Now, different police departments have varying policies about things like this, but none of them can just then and there crack open the box truck, even though your GPS tracker says your vehicle is inside.
Why
and
the
that's
hell
the
not?
point here he's pointing out is they need probable cause because of the Fourth Amendment as mentioned in the title. So if they could see the motorcycle, if it was behind a fence but they could see it in there, yeah, that's enough to go get a search warrant. Some officers
dear
might knock
God.
on the door of the house and speak with the residents and ask them. Now this time, apparently the officer did not do that. And so it seems to me that if I was a police officer, and again, that's, fantasy land 'cause I don't want to be a police officer.
Okay, I'm not gonna. Okay. For people unfamiliar with the U.S. Bill of Rights, it starts with the Fourth Amendment, which states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No warrant shall be issued, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be searched. In other words, police can't just go searching people or their property unless there's probable cause to do so. There must be some evidence of a crime or evidence of stolen property for the police to go in. But courts have been arguing over what probable cause means since not long after the Constitution was ratified, the Bill of Rights voted into law by the first states. How is having a GPS tracker, even if it's Bluetooth, how is having a GPS tracker on something that is your property and you are, at least theoretically, the only one who can access that GPS tracker's information with your own personal device, be it a smartphone, tablet, whatever? How is that not sufficient enough evidence to suggest that something was stolen? For non-U.S. readers, many other countries have similar provisions in their laws that protect your privacy, but they often differ in significant ways from U.S. law. Be sure to check out your jurisdiction. Leto says that he thinks most judges would authorize a warrant in such circumstances, as the probable cause is fairly clear as long as other facts are verified. The person with the AirTag owned the bike, etc. Yeah, there may be a chance that the thief gets charged with a crime and gets the evidence suppressed, thus getting off the hook for the crime. But that doesn't mean they get to keep the stolen bike, so there's really no risk to this move. Right. but there's also an opportunity. But there's also an opportunity cost. In some places, the police won't pursue the warrant because they don't think property crimes are worth their time. If you as an officer don't think that property crimes are worth your time, hang up the badge. Clock out permanently. Find another career. Your job is to uphold the law and service the people. If my bike is stolen and my GPS tracker says that it is in some random person's house who I don't know, either you go in and get it or about face. Because I'm going to get my bike back one way or another. That's my vehicle. That is absolutely ridiculous. They'd rather spend their time worrying about crimes. Theft is crime. Theft is crime. Eating donuts, stereotype, or parking beside the highway to sleep next to a radar gun. Okay. In some cases, the other things may be real. In others, it's just laziness. Yeah. In some very corrupt towns, that's ultimately what this is. It could be that the local government wants them out seeking revenge instead of serving the public. Yeah. There may also be places where police know a judge won't do the warrant based on GPS data, but that's an even bigger problem. Often with elected low-level local judges who don't set foot in law school or don't want to be bothered at night. This is a very aggravating article to read, to say the least. The bigger problem here, no one bike is a big deal. Even an expensive bike can be replaced. Well, and many people carry insurance on expensive personal property. My GPS tracker is my insurance. Yeah, no, I'm not about ready to go to freaking Geico to have a bike insured for in case it was stolen or whatever like that. I'm putting a GPS tracker on that bish. Even if you can't find, even if uninsured, you can always find another one, even if coming up with thousands again sucks. Yeah, no. If I have an electric bike, I'm getting a GPS tracker on that thing so that if it's stolen, I can retrieve my personal property. If the cops don't help me, then I'm doing it myself. Or I'm finding somebody who will. If you as an officer of the law cannot serve me to right a wrong, to retrieve stolen property based on a GPS location, that's fairly accurate. If it's jumping all over the place by like a mile radius or something like that, then that's understandable. That's not exactly a reliable GPS tracker. That's not a reliable GPS signal. That's about the only scenario in which that a GPS tracker shouldn't be. That's about the only scenario where a GPS tracker realistically should not be used as a reliable source. The bigger problem here is that bike thieves are putting clean transportation at risk. Yeah. First off, you can't really stop them these days. They carry battery-powered angle grinders, ironically an invention enabled by modern lithium batteries. Good God. Nail gun driven pistons that break locks and other tools that quickly and relatively quietly knock out the best locks. Yeah, unfortunately, I can see that. Even if they have to spend a minute on it, most people won't spend the time to confront them or report their activity to the police because they're afraid of the thieves. Second, they know when the local police they know when the local police won't do anything. They figure this out pretty quick to tell associates with no consequences for their actions. They'll do it over and over and over. Who in the right mind wants to spend big bucks on an e-bike when the thieves can just walk away with it? It might be the best tool for the commuting job, but at the end of the day, a stolen bike can't take you to work or run errands. This leaves many people unwilling to even try replacing some of their car trips with a bike, myself included. Possible solutions include requiring employers to provide some secure bike storage. Okay. Folding bikes and scooters you can take into work or class and keep an eye on. Yeah. And better security systems that actually prevent the theft. But we'd better figure this out if we actually want people to ride e-bikes. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I still stand by what I said previously. Yeah. If you are law enforcement and you don't feel like retrieving personal property based off a GPS location because it's insufficient data, quote unquote, what are you even doing? Seriously, what are you even doing? Do you actually need to see the theft take place? Because, as a perfect example of that going wrong, I actually had to, whenever my girlfriend had her bike, she had her bike locked up with one of the cable wire wraps, the cable lock. She had her bike cable locked to the front porch of her grandma's house. Eventually, she completely lost the key. So, me, being the stand-up boyfriend that I was at the time and still am, I wound up having to take some bolt cutters to that bike to get it freed up for her. In that scenario, if a cop had seen me do that and questioned me about it, and at the time my girlfriend was in college, I believe she was actually attending a class at the time that I had chosen to go in, I would have been screwed potentially. I would have been very screwed. So and besides, we are talking about an electric bike here. She didn't have an electric bike, she had a standard analog bike. But we're talking about an electric bike here. There's no reason why e-bikes shouldn't have some sort of tracker on them and I'm not talking about this frickin' Apple AirTags thing, because the fact of it is, as good as what they are in some aspects, they will do you no good if the bike if a bike is stolen and stored somewhere essentially off-grid in a shed where there's hardly anybody around in a rural area where, you get one vehicle that passes it a day. But if you have an LTE GPS tracker, you pay a little bit extra for it per month, but it's either that or have to rely on AirTags, which I'm not saying are bad necessarily, but they're only as reliable as they're only reliable in the scenario where there's another phone around an AirTag. And if there isn't one for a little while, then you're kind of screwed. But if you have a GPS LTE tracker, they're out there, and and you're able to just plug it into the bike or whatever like that. That should be sufficient enough data for you, for law enforcement. And if it's not enough for law enforcement, then find some friends. You know where I'm going with that. Okay, next up. Licensing e-bikes won't make the sidewalks safer. Hey, I can already tell. I'm gonna love this article. Any New Yorker walking around the city has probably encountered a person speeding by on an e-bike, either going the wrong way on a one-way or zipping by on the sidewalk. It's annoying at best, dangerous at worst. So on first glance, a bill introduced last year by City Council member Bob Holden, requiring e-bike owners to get a license and registration for their vehicles, makes a certain kind of sense. Wouldn't more regulation help? The legislation has a number of progressive co-sponsors, including council members Justin Brannan, Sandy Nurse, and Chi. Okay. But street safety advocates have hammered it as a regressive, punitive, and pointless. Basically, a proposal that would largely target delivery workers of color without actually addressing necessary safety issues. To better understand what's going on, we reached out to Dooley, an urban studies professor at Queens College who studies the intersection of mobility, racial justice, and the environment. That I would love to know the trajectory of one's education and career that lands them to study the intersection of mobility and the intersection of mobility, racial justice, and the environment, because that's not something that a 6-year-old comes up with. Hey, Tommy, what do you want to be whenever you grow up? I want to be at the intersection of mobility, racial justice, and the environment. It's just not something that I would love to see the trajectory. It'd be very interesting to me. It's not. I'm not bashing them or anything like that. I'm not. I don't mean to bash, but wow, Okay. This interview has been edited and okay. Let's start with the Holden bill. Why don't city safety advocates like it? Every few years, there's this moral panic about the Middle West of these. Hold on a second. Let me double check myself here real fast. Okay, I'm still good. Every few years, there's this moral panic about the Wild West of these uncontrolled, mostly immigrant men of color in our streets going around as quickly as possible. If you go back to the updates to the commercial cycling laws in the 2010s, where they passed a requirement to have delivery workers wear helmets and reflective vests with an ID number, it was also about these workers being out of control. And they weren't even talking about electric bikes back then. I love that. Oh my god. I love that. Oh my god. If you go back to the updates to the commercial cycling laws in the 2010s, where they passed a requirement to have delivery workers wear helmets and reflective vests with an ID number, it was also about these workers being out of control. And they weren't even talking about electric bikes back then. Oh my god. Okay. People were just saying that they're dangerous, but they didn't really have numbers to back this up. So there's this recurring idea that you get safety with more policing and more surveillance and control of these riders. It is a completely faulty idea, and one rooted in racism. Okay. I wouldn't necessarily. I can see where they're coming from. I can see where this person is coming from. Where council members wanting to have license, registration, and insurance for e-bikes be rooted in racism. In this context, in the context of, hey, it used to be that, all these people of color, they would get these very entry-level jobs. Why did that turn around? I did not want that to turn around. Bear with me here for just a moment. There we go. My TikTok turned around for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. So I can see where they're coming from in this context, but at the same time, that really is only a part of it. So I'm subscribed to different YouTube channels, personally. One of them being Saronster, one of them being Dylan Thomas. I'm trying to think of who else I'm subscribed to. I need to subscribe to more e-bike riders. I'm going to, but I watch these videos and they're just wanting to have fun. They're just wanting to have fun, roam around whatever city they're in or whatever like that. G-Bear's another one. I enjoy some of his content, although he's pretty broad on, he'll jump from a Suron to, full-blown crotch rocket and You know, he doesn't stick with just e-bikes, which, okay, I get it as much as I can. But they're just wanting to have fun. They're not meaning to cause harm. Most of the time they're really not causing harm. They're just wanting to have fun and get around town. Maybe in some cases they do want to get around town more efficiently because they got somewhere to go or whatever like that. But and I'll even speak in terms of me whenever I was riding around on my S18. I never ride in a I never ride with the intention of harming anyone, doing any damage, causing any trouble or anything like that. I'm just riding to get around the city in the most efficient way possible. And in a lot of scenarios, especially whenever you consider the traffic backup, just traffic congestion in general, you don't even have to add construction in there a lot of the time. Just pick almost any random time of the day or day of the year, and you're going to wind up running into traffic congestion because everyone's driving a 2-ton tank. Whenever you get everybody driving a 2-ton tank and trying to shove them through a densely populated area, put those two things together, you get congestion. Increasing the speed limit will not matter. Increasing the lane throughput will not matter. So whenever I jump on a bike, and if I have the ability to get around traffic in a safe way, assuming that no driver's going to look in their rearview mirror and open their door to stop me because they don't think I should be able to go through, if I can do that in a safe way, then I'm going to do that. It's not in it's not meant as being dangerous. There is an element of danger to it, and you assume a certain amount of risk whenever you do anything. You assume the risk of falling whenever you walk. So, it's really just about getting around a densely populated urban or residential area in the most efficient way possible. And most of the time, that is not via a 2-ton tank. It's not via a car, truck, van, SUV, whatever the case is like that. Most of the time, that's going to be on either a bike, scooter, or skateboard that has an electric hub to it, that has power to it. And you can just do 30 miles an hour. And that's what EBS is about, just getting around town. So lawmakers have tried to make this about numbers and road safety, but it's kind of not. When you look at the numbers, if you're really concerned about public safety, you would get rid of old cars. I wouldn't say all cars. And I would say most vehicles. Obviously, there are, I can understand certain exceptions. City utility work truck. If the power goes out or something like that, you'd better not be riding up on a electric skateboard with, your tool belt and whatever you can carry in your backpack and, whatever like that. If, a tree knocked down the power line that, powers the block that's knocked out of power, you might be a little light on equipment there, buddy. If if you're responding to a 911 call and the person is about ready to bleed out or whatever like that, you know, eh, obviously in that scenario, even an electric cargo bike that is made to carry a whole other person, that's not going to be sufficient. You still need people in a truck to operate on the person while you're in transit. If your girlfriend, fiance, wife, or whoever she is about ready to have a baby, I highly doubt that she wants to, if you don't make it to the hospital in time, I highly doubt that she's going to want to plop that baby on a bike seat or even on the seat of a scooter or something like that. So, there are scenarios where, having a vehicle would be necessary. So, ban all cars. I'm not in favor of banning all cars. I really am not. I'm not in favor of banning all vehicles. But there needs to be a rebalancing. There needs to be an adjustment. If you are, going to work at, wherever your job is, and you're not carrying around a bunch of heavy equipment, and you're commuting locally, you can ride a bike, scooter, or skateboard, electrically powered, and most days of the year be totally fine. Right, but a lot of people might think that getting rid of cars is pretty high bar to clear. Why not license bikes? For one thing, it would decrease ridership. No kidding. The more strict these requirements are, the less cycling you have, whether it's electric-based mobility or other forms of cycling. Safety dramatically decreases when you have less cyclists. Public safety decreases for pedestrians when there's less cycling too. 100,000%. The more drivers that we have through densely populated areas, the more dangerous it is for everyone. Because of the fact that you have bigger, faster, more powerful objects in the street rather. You have these big, heavy, powerful, fast objects in the road. They, by definition, are more dangerous to people that are walking, cycling, riding a scooter, riding a skateboard, riding whatever else. They just are, especially whenever the drivers are not paying attention. They just are. Why is that? It's complicated, but you're creating more mixed use streets. One of the things that makes streets safer is complexity of infrastructure. Having more bike infrastructure actually slows drivers down and makes them look out in more directions. While bike infrastructure is meant to reduce collisions with cyclists, you actually reduce collisions with pedestrians at the same time. But e-bike crashes still happen, right? The presence of bikes and bike infrastructure tends to make streets safer for pedestrians, but it seems less safe because pedestrians are in closer contact with more cyclists and bikers than cars. And unfortunately, the way the street is set up is that pedestrians, e-bikes and cyclists their preferred spaces are pretty similar. They overlap quite a bit and are in a lot more direct contact on a regular basis. There's enough crashes, and people do get injured in crashes with e-bikes. There have been people who have died, and so you can point to enough examples to be like, yes, you can see that we have proof. So we become preoccupied mostly with what's right in front of us. This is not to say that we can't make things safer necessarily, but the danger feels disproportionate to the numbers because of perception. Okay? Because you have the regular contact. Because you have that regular contact. You don't have the same kind of regular contact with cars. What do the numbers say? For collisions with pedestrians this year and last year, the NYPD data shows that e-bikes are involved in 2.3% of injuries and 2.4% of fatalities. And so cars are by far the biggest factor in pedestrian injuries and fatalities. That makes sense. That makes sense. Totally. But we don't think about them nearly as much. We've naturalized cars, and we've kind of erased them from this idea of street safety. The other part is that e-bikes are new, and new things tend to have a lot of backlash. And when anything is new, whoever is the early adopter really matters. And the early adopters in New York City were mostly immigrant, low-wage workers. E-bikes aren't necessarily new. How they're being sold today is fairly new, but e-bikes themselves are not new. So, there are a lot of e-bikes out there right now that are being sold that are actually technically federally illegal to ride anywhere that's not private land, anywhere that's not your own private land. Because they go way too fast and they're way too powerful. And whenever you have enough power and can go fast enough, then you're technically supposed to be licensed, registered, and insured at that point. But that's really hard to do whenever the vehicle that you're wanting to license, register, and insure doesn't come with a VIN because the manufacturer didn't make one. So I don't know exactly how that process works. I would assume it's hard because, I mean, hell, even registering a vehicle can be a circus act and a half sometimes. So double check my battery here real fast. I am almost dead again. Okay. Well, I'm going to be getting that fixed pretty soon. Currently, my camera, the camera that I'm using for my live streams, it runs on battery power. I can't really do anything about it right now. It's a T7i Rebel, so I got it whenever they first came out. So, but I am going to be fixing that fairly soon. Hopefully by next week. I hope. I'm not gonna promise one way or the other, but I am planning on having that fixed by next week. So at any rate, I'm gonna see how much long. Oh yeah, this is fairly long here. How long have I been streaming for? Not even a whole hour yet. Okay. I think I'm gonna be good to just keep on going a little bit longer. Okay. Do I have any comments or anything? None so far. Okay. Invite Lex to go live together. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. For collisions with pedestrians this year and last. Okay. Universe. Okay. You mentioned that this had happened before with updates to commercial delivery laws. What happened then? Every few years, it's the same neighborhoods asking for the city to go after the same group of people. It's wealthy neighborhoods on the Upper West Side and Upper East Side going after the delivery workers. There was an update passed in 2007 in which working cyclists were required to wear employer-issued helmets. Okay. But most employers made their workers provide their own helmets. That one's kind of a... if you're riding a bike, you really should be wearing a helmet. You'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that doesn't advocate for wearing a helmet. So, should work provide you with all your necessary personal protective equipment? In most cases, yes. But should you be riding a bike without a helmet? The answer is most of the time no. In the early 2010s, there was this commercial cycling law requiring a vest, and the vest would have an ID number that enabled community surveillance. Okay. Where people could call 311 and make a complaint about a specific restaurant and worker. So it was actually a really sneaky way of doing more community-based policing. Yeah. Okay. That one does make some sense. In a lot of places that have these kind of laws that require licensure and administration, it becomes a rationale for police to do pretextual stops for immigrants. Well, this definitely went a way I wasn't expecting. I mean, in the context of people that are using e-bikes to be able to do delivery service type of work, the employer should be the one to have some sort of markings on you so that people can either sing your praises or tell you what you're doing wrong. Much like the "How's my driving" sign on a semi-truck. Yes, I get it. Very funny. Haha. Yeah. Can this be abused? Absolutely. can this be a bad thing if a worker is, swerving all over the street, swerving all over the lanes, and and there is no way to contact them or be like, hey, this person is being erratic or whatever like that. Okay, well, can you describe them for me? Yeah, they seem like they were approximately 5.5 feet tall, Mexican, and wearing a yellow vest with a white helmet. Well, congratulations. You narrowed it down to almost every single Mexican cyclist on the street. I'm just, as an example. So that's not helpful. Obviously. But do I think that e-bikes, scooters, and skateboards need to be registered, insured, and everything like that? No, I do not. As long as they are within federal law, which is 750 watts and 30 miles an hour top speed. As long as they stick with that, there is no need to have them registered, insured, licensed, everything like that. Within the context of using them for commuting. Within the context of using them as a delivery vehicle, as an employee, that's where things start to get a little bit more complicated. So, let me see here. Okay. There's another bill from, I think, from a pedestrian point of view, it's easy to see it is. I think from a pedestrian point of view, it's easy to see it as this. These bikes are going really fast, and we have motor vehicles that have license, so why don't these vehicles have license? I get wanting a certain amount of accountability when something happens, but I think it's a different conversation. The social relationships in the streets and interactions have changed, and that's uncomfortable. But we need to resist the temptation that we can just police our way out of this. Yeah. It's a matter of... It's just a matter of, that balance between, like I said, somebody that's a cyclist that's swerving all over the road versus, the driver that wants to gun their vehicle around every corner turn possible. It's one of those things that there needs to be a better balance than what there has been. And the only way you get that is by the transparency of calling people out for their bullshit. Either in the sense that, hey, don't be, riding that wheelie, doing 30 miles an hour so close to, my, 5-year-old that was just wanting to eat their ice cream cone. But at the same time, there's also you get the other extreme version of that. You get the other Karens of that, oh, well, you're supposed to be in the bike lane because you're not really a motorcycle or whatever the case is like that, so you shouldn't be on the street. If they're not harming anyone, if they're not doing any real damage, then you're just being an asshole. So, it goes both ways, essentially, is what I'm really saying. There's another bill for Brad Hallman Siegel that would register e-bikes that are used for commercial purposes and direct any violation cost towards employers. Do you think that's a better version, or is it also not a great idea? No, it would still single out delivery workers. I mean, that was the same thing with with the commercial cycling bill, right? They always said this is going towards restaurants. Surprise, surprise! Nearly all of the summon went to the workers away. Anyway, okay. So it's a labor issue too, because underlying all of this is the fact that delivery workers feel this pressure to go fast, right? This is the only way to make money under the current app-based model. If you were under those kind of labor conditions, what would you do? I don't know if you've seen, but last fall the Department of Consumer Worker Protection did a big study on app-based delivery workers in New York City, and it found that they had a fatality rate several times higher than construction workers. Damn! Okay. And historically, the construction work has been the most dangerous occupation. Wow. Okay. That is shocking. So we're talking about safety. Why don't we ever really seriously talk about safety of delivery workers who are bringing us food? I've done Postmates as a cyclist. It was fun for me in the sense that I was hustling. My girlfriend had a car at the time. It was under her name. It was registered under her name. I put my name on the insurance to keep the cost low for her. But because of the fact that it was registered, the license was under my name, I could just go ahead and put her car into Postmates as the car that I use and just hop on my bike and go. And Postmates did tell me that, oh well, Fort Wayne's not considered is not considered a bike friendly enough city for us to give you that option. And previously, I'd been cycling over Fort Wayne for about 2.5, 3 years, something like that. So, while they had a point to what they were saying, I decided to just say screw it and just do it. When you talk to workers, they deeply safety. We don't ever really talk about it. Okay. When you talk to workers, they deeply care about their safety. I don't think anyone wants to go as fast as humanly possible in their job, but it's also the way the labor conditions are structured. The city passed some laws to try to improve some of those labor conditions, which was disputed by the app companies in a lawsuit. But it's kind of impossible. It's kind of an impossible job, and it's structured for them to go as quickly as possible, or they don't make wages and tips. Yep. So where do the apps fit in here? The app companies are structured to offload all this responsibility and tell the worker, we've got to do this in a certain amount of time. It sets things up so the worker is left to choose the route and all of that. But it isn't really much of a choice. But we're all at some level responsible. Most of us have eaten delivery food at some point. You can't have your food hot, fast, and cheap without having someone move it as quickly as possible under very exploitive labor conditions. This is true. This is true. The nature of what you're asking for, if you're wanting your food hot, fresh, and fast, means that the people that are bringing it to you are putting themselves in harm's way. They genuinely are. And it's all for a few bucks extra tip. Yeah, that or you're spending way too much on food. Just, for the sake of having it delivered to you. Kind of a lose-lose scenario regardless of which way you go. So. Can I keep going? Yeah, okay. So of these changes, a lot of changes are required all at once. Infrastructural, labor, our expectations around instant access to things. A bigger, maybe more philosophical question is, why do we consistently, in supposedly the richest country in the world, one of the richest countries in the world, it's been falling recently, tell people that you have to speed up. It shouldn't be impossible to make a decent living at a normal pace, right? It's basically built upon extracting as much as possible from those we see as disposable. And it's complicated because a lot of us turn towards delivery because our lives get so hectic. Yeah. Right. We often find ourselves in a time crunch as well. Exactly. It is a whole rat race in which all of us are squeezed for time. And so I think for a lot of people in the kind of squeeze, it feels like I don't have the time and I have to order. Food delivery should be a luxury as opposed to a necessity. But because of the way our lives are structured to go as quickly as possible for a lot of us, it has become necessity. It's a huge question. I honestly struggle with practical solutions because we're talking about changing everything. Yep. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So that is one of those things where it's a matter of just organizing your time better and finding a better balance. I was having a hell of a time for a while paying off my credit cards, a couple of my personal credit cards, and one day I realized that, it might be because of the fact that I'm snacking and just eating garbage throughout my day that's costing me a fortune. What if I just cut out eating out entirely? Well, eating out fast food. Domino's and Wendy's and, Subway and whatnot like that, 3, 4, 5 times a day. A, isn't healthy, and B, it ain't gonna get my credit card paid off. I was doing really good to put $10 a month into my credit card as a minimum payment, on top of the minimum payment that I was doing, because I've got my finances set up in such a way as to where my money's basically split. But now that I'm on this whole journey of I cut out fast food pretty much entirely. I don't eat throughout the day. I have a big hearty breakfast at the beginning of my day and a big dinner at the end of my day. So, and I've been actually increasing how much I'm eating at the beginning and end of my day because I'm not snacking throughout my day. And that is absolutely helping to get my, I'm going to be able to get one of my credit cards at least paid off by like middle of January or something like that. Like it's insane. But that's because of the fact that I've had this whole overhaul of essentially a overhaul diet change. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I feel way better about it. Because of the fact that I'm like, oh, hey, instead of just eating a chicken sandwich and a half whenever I get home, hell, last night I had 3 of them. I've never had that many chicken sandwiches in one setting, but I was actually able to make 3 and eat 3, and I was comfortably full. That's huge for me. And put that on top of the fact that I'm still cycling to work and everything like that. So, you know, I'm feeling better now than I ever have been. And I'm pretty sure I've only got up to go from here because I'm still skin and bone. Like, I'm still only like 120 pounds or so, you know, and last I weighed myself, I haven't weighed myself recently. That was like 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, something like that. But I've always been the type that I eat like half my diet is steak and the other half is ice cream, and I never gain any weight because my metabolism is through the roof. So, you know, can't help it. Or if I can, I don't know how yet. But yeah, it's a matter of the practicality. Are you willing to, you know, make adjustments to your lifestyle that can help you get out of the rut that you're in? You know, I was in a rut whenever I was trying to keep up with the 2 cars that I had. And I went ahead and hopped on a bike, and I've never been happier about that decision than any other decision in my life, aside from, you know, now that I'm cutting out fast food, and I'm going on a month and a half now of basically no fast food. I'm feeling much happier about myself, and I'm seeing my credit score go up because my balance is going down. I'm paying off my credit card faster. So, you know, all of this is making for, you know, it's been really awesome to see what comes of this. So, at any rate, I'm going to double check my camera here real fast. Okay, cool. Can I get through this real fast? It looks like it's going to be way too long. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there, considering that I've already been on stream for an hour at this point. Yeah. So, I meant to do this, or I meant to start this live stream earlier. I actually got in to my studio here around 6, and I literally just been having problems with my audio. So I'm still learning the software, and that's really what it ultimately boils down to, is that I'm still learning the software that I'm using. So, am I really still not live yet on Facebook? I thought I was. According to this, I am. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. So, I meant to be earlier with this. I missed it, obviously. But, at any rate, like I said at the beginning, any ads that you see on this video or anything like that, any ads that you see on this live stream, I'm not getting paid from those. You know, if you want to help support me, go to ridewithebs.com. I'm gonna be having more actual like apparel merchandise on there pretty soon. I got some stuff coming in the mail right now for me to test out. electric air pump and hydration backpack are both available for pre-order right now. And all the profits, not the revenue obviously, but the profits are going to go to getting the S18 back up and going and figuring out what we need to do as far as basically just Frankensteining a bike together that doesn't quit working on me out of nowhere within a year. That's what happened with the S18. So, at any rate, that'll be all for me tonight from me. And I will do my best to be back live next weekend, Saturday. I'm going to aim for 7. In my head, I want to say 6, but I'm going to aim for 7 to just kind of give myself a little bit. So, at any rate, see ya.